Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Heather Lewis and I flip furniture to pay my rent. So, today we have these really pretty side tables. They could also be considered a nightstand. They are styled like French Provincial, but I don't think that they are actually French Provincials. They have just one drawer, but they are a set and they match very nicely together. And they have this top piece, which is not wood, but I think I'll be able to paint right over it as long as I sand it and I scuff it up. Got these off of Facebook Marketplace for only $20. So if I can flip these around, I could probably make almost $150 profit on these. So that's what I'm hoping for. But the guy was super nice, and they were originally $15, but someone wanted them and offered him $15 before me, so I tried to upscale him at $20 and it worked. So now these are ours and we're ready to refinish them. And we have to start by taking out the hardware. Looks like it's missing a screw, so we'll have to replace that when we're putting these back on. Easy as that, on to the next one. Looks like I need a different bit for this one. So sometimes they will replace their nail or their screws if they've lost it over time, and it looks like these ones have different screws, so it's nice having a screwdriver that has different bits. So this one was too big. I still need another flathead, but it needs to be smaller. So we got the smaller one on, and now we can get these screws out. Alright, now that all of the hardware is off, we're gonna get started on cleaning. Here I got Dawn dish soap and warm water, and it just really helps cut the grease and get everything off. So we're gonna go ahead and wipe these down. Alright, now that they've all been cleaned off, we need to rinse it off with regular water. Alright, we're gonna let that dry and then we're gonna start sanding. Alright, so we are now on the sanding stage, and I have 120 grit sandpaper on here. So there is one thing though. This middle section here is not actually wood. It's not even like fake wood. So I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I know it's not wood. And I'm going to attempt to just sand over it so I can scuff it up so that paint can adhere to it. Now, I don't know if this is the best way to do it, so if you run across this problem, you might want to ask someone, but for me, this is what I'm going to do. And if you guys have any tips or suggestions about how to go about this in the future, let me know in the comments down below, because this is the only way that I can see fit for paint to adhere to the surface. So We're gonna start sanding down, and I'm just gonna go through everything. Now that the sanding's all done, we just gotta wipe the sawdust off and we're gonna get inside ready to prime. Alright, now that we are on to the priming stage, I am using the 321 primer. It's the Zinsser primer. I use it in a lot of my videos, but I like to put it in a solo cup just because I got a big gallon size of it, and if I'm dipping continuously back into the gallon size, it's more likely that debris will fall into that. So I would rather have debris fall into this little cup instead of the whole or all of the other primer. It'll just be harder to pick out as well since there's a lot more paint in the gallon. But we are gonna go ahead and start priming these pieces. Now, as I said before, this is not wood, and this is gonna be the first time that I'm painting over something that's not completely wood. Again, I don't know if this is the best way about going about it, but if it turns out well, I'll let you guys know. You guys will see by the end of the video if it turns out well or not. So you know if you can do this on your pieces if you run across the same thing. So we're gonna get started on priming. I am using a paintbrush. I like to use a roller typically, but with all the curves and the type of legs that these have, I think it'll be better to paint on. So we're gonna start painting on the primer. When you're doing pieces that have legs like this, make sure you go around the entire leg, not just what you can see, because from different angles you're gonna be able to see it, and if part of it is the original color and then the other part is the new color, it's not gonna look uniform. It's not gonna look like a set that has been completely refinished. It's gonna look like something that's in the process of being refinished. So make sure you're checking the entire legs, and on pieces like these, if they're wood on the back, make sure that you're doing it on the back as well, because pieces like these people will put in their living rooms, and the back isn't necessarily always up against a wall. Like sometimes you could walk behind it and you would be able to see the old color showing through. So just make sure that you're doing the back for projects like these so that you know it looks 100% done. All right, now that the primer is all done, we're gonna let this dry and we can get into the color that we chose. All right, so the primer is dry and I'm liking how it turned out on this middle part. It's sticking really well. It's not scratching off right away like I thought it might. And so far, so good. So we're gonna keep on with it. I think that it's turning out pretty well for putting primer on something that's not wood, so we're gonna stick with it. I wanna take a second to talk about mixing colors before we actually get into the color. These are the two colors that I used. I used the Rust-Oleum chalked Coastal Blue, and I mixed it with my black because this color right here is what Coastal Blue is by itself, and I wanted something that was a little more dark and resembled more of a navy blue color. So I kept mixing in black into the paint until I got to this color. So this is the new color. I think it looks pretty navy blue to me, and I think it'll be really good with gold hardware. So that is the plan for this. If you want to try to match the color that I did mostly equal parts, but a little bit more of the Coastal Blue. And I mixed up a whole bunch because I didn't do exactly equal, or I didn't like measure the parts out, so I wanted to make sure that I had leftover instead of I finished up what I had mixed and now I can't find like the same color again. So these are the two colors. For all of my color, I decided to put it into just an old meat container. That way, you know, I have it sealed, it won't dry out, and it is good to go. So I just mixed this together, so it should be okay. But I'm ready to start painting, and hopefully it'll be that navy blue color that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna set this off to the side, and we're gonna get the first look. Oh yeah. Yep, this is the color that I was looking for. When you guys are mixing colors though, make sure that you really mix in the colors, because otherwise you could end up getting different variants of the color. So just make sure you're doing that.
Best friend, didn't care about the rules, good on the weekends. I'll be in fools, drifting to deep space. So brave and so stupid, just like the movies. I was gonna stay in the fight with you, just thinking we would do this until we couldn't do it. Each and every high, every night with you, you and me so clueless. We were just broken, shattered, singing along to nothing matters. Stray around like nighttime rumors. We were
Alright, so far it's looking like we're obviously gonna need a second coat, but I wouldn't doubt it if we're gonna need a third or even a fourth coat on this one. We'll let it dry and get into the second coat. Okay, so the second coat has now dried. I like how smooth it is, and I like that this middle section is still working out just fine. The color isn't exactly a navy blue like I thought it was, but I still like this blue. It's a darker blue. Definitely better than just the coastal blue, because that was too light for me. But I still think the dark blue looks good, so we're gonna keep going. And I don't know, we might need 3 coats, but we'll see. Alright, so the second coat is on, but I can already tell that this is definitely going to need a third coat. I'm just going to throw in a few little shots of me doing the third coat after these have dried, because it's the same process, but there needs to be a third coat on these. Alright, so the hardware has only been cleaned off. We only have 4 pieces because it's just 2 side tables. We are going to be doing the metallic finish in gold. I think it'll look really nice with the dark blue, navy blue. So we're gonna get started on spray painting these. Alright, we'll come back to do a second coat of the gold, and then of course we've always got to top coat it, so we'll do that as well. Alright, so we've come back a little while later, and the first coat had really great coverage, so we don't need to do the second coat, but we do need to top coat it. I'm using the Clear Matte Enamel by Rust-Oleum. This stuff is really great to seal the hardware, just like when you seal your piece. It helps prevent the finish from coming off, so we're gonna make sure we do this, and then the hardware will just have to dry and it'll be done. All right, we're just gonna let that dry now. Now that the third coat is dry, we are ready to go into the top coat. I've got my poly in here, and I believe it's clear matte. I also mixed in some of the color in there. I find that that's, it really helps the poly not be so shiny when you mix the color into it. So now we are ready to start applying this. I'm gonna do my best not to let it pool because it'll show up more clear if it does. And the poly may end up dark, like making your piece just a little bit darker. You will notice that, but the customer will not. So don't worry about that. It's just kind of a painter's thing. You'll notice that, you know, it's a little bit darker, but it's maybe a little bit darker by the tiniest amount. So no need to worry about that. All right, now that the poly is on everything, all we have to do is let this dry and we're gonna put the hardware on. All right, you guys, we have now made it over to the staging wall, and I really love how these pieces turned out. It wasn't exactly that navy blue that I was going for, but the color is definitely darker, and I love how the blue goes well with the gold. I want to take another second to talk about mixing colors and also the numbers of this piece. So for these, we used the Coastal Blue from Rust-Oleum. It was the Rust-Oleum's chalk paint, and then I used my black paint that I've used in a lot of other videos from Lowe's. It's the type of paint that you can put on walls as well. And I had done, when it came time to mixing, I did mostly a 1-to-1 ratio with a little bit less black. I don't have exact measurements for you guys, but if you're trying to go for something like this, do half and half and then pour a little bit more of the Coastal Blue in there, and you should get a color very similar to this. And the reason why I like mixing colors is because a lot of the time I have a whole bunch of paint and not the colors that I want, but with the paint that I have, a lot of the time I can find and make colors that I don't already have. So it's nice to be able to mix these colors and get different colors in return. That way you're not going out and buying a whole bunch of paint, because if you're doing this to profit, buying paint can be expensive sometimes. So if you can work with what you've got, that's always the best solution to do. But as for numbers, you guys, I got these pieces for $20 off of Facebook Marketplace. The guy originally had them at $15, but someone had already messaged
him first, but he told me that if I go up to 20, an extra $5, then these would be mine. So I agreed to it because even $20 for the two of these is an amazing price, and I don't think he understands the quality of what type of quality these are, but sometimes that's just the way it goes, and it is their loss, our gain. So as us refinishers, we definitely have to act fast when it comes to prices like those. But I got it for $20, and because these are a French provincial styled side tables, nightstands, anything that is French provincial, you know, is going to be high quality. And because these are so similar to the French provincials, I mean, the legs are a little bit different and the hardware is a little bit different, but it definitely resembles the French provincials. So I'm going to go ahead and post these back on the marketplace now that they're done for $175. I know that these will be able to sell at that price because French provincials are something that people see as luxurious and fancy, and these pieces being in the condition that they are, I think that this will be able to sell super fast and super easily. So that is going to end today's video, you guys. If you stuck to the end, thank you for watching, and please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. We just hit 500 subscribers and we're going up, so I'm excited to see where this journey is continuing to take us and watching this community grow. So thanks again, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.